Get your films on with the Blurs.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blurs.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
What are you watching?
All right, so it's been a pretty light week for me, but we're going to start off with season 2 of Mo on Netflix. Mo is co-written and co-produced by Rami, and we all know how excellent that show is. And
yeah, where's that fourth and last season?
Right. This is in line with that sensibility, with actually more comedy, but still kind of topical, depressing, and touching. I know it's weird saying that for a something that's billed as a comedy, but it's more like a dramedy. Season 2 picks up 6 months after the end of season 1. Mo is now stuck in Mexico because he was quote unquote kidnapped, brought there, and since he does not have a passport, is not a citizen, he's stuck there. And the season is about him trying to get back to America, but also dealing with the ramifications of him leaving the United States. I love the first season. This is not much better, but it is an improvement over the first season in all respects. It is an amazing show, and it shows you the convoluted bullshit surrounding the United States' immigration policy, which is super, super topical right now. Right? I mean, it was topical when it was being created, but now that the Tangerine Tyrant is in office, it is even more. It is even more in line. So that's really all I have to say about season 2. If you like the first season, you're gonna love the second season. If you haven't seen the show at all, you owe it to yourself to check it out on Netflix. Each episode's like a half hour, right? So you're not really investing all that much time into a show that shows other sorts of brown people and the bullshit they have to go through in the United States of America. Moving on from that, also on Netflix, American Manhunt, O.J. Simpson. It is a 5-part documentary about the O.J. Simpson case with never before seen crime scene photos. I've never actually seen the crime scene photos before, and they are fucking horrific.
Oh yeah, they showed that in an O.J. Made in America.
Yeah,
which is the best. I remember when that shit premiered, everybody was watching that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really fuck up an OJ documentary because it is such a American story. It is such ingrained in a certain generation's memory that you can put anything on revolving around that case, and people are gonna watch it and then and gravitate towards it. It is, it's a Netflix documentary. It's slick. It's well put together. I mean, I've got nothing to say. It's good, quote unquote, but it's about a horrible person and a horrible thing that happened. So it is what it is. If you wanted to see another O.J. Simpson documentary, you could do much fucking worse. And moving on from that, because I was on an OJ kick after watching this shit, I decided to rewatch American Crime Story, O.J. Simpson. And that show still fucking hits. That limited series, um, the first of the American crime stories. It was fucking superb. It was appointment viewing when it first premiered, like I think in 2019, 2020.
I think it was 2018.
Was it 2018?
Because I think 2019 was the Made in
Versace?
America one.
Oh, okay, Made in America documentary. All
And
right.
then during lockdown, the one that we all watched was what was that fucking Jordan one? I forget what it's called. The Last Dance.
Right.
The Last Dance had it was that, and Tiger King had the entire world by the balls. And I was like, why the fuck everybody talking about a Michael Jordan doc? And then you watch it, you're just like, oh yeah, this shit's wild, bro.
I still have not seen The Last Dance.
Yeah,
It's on my list.
The Last Dance, I was like, damn, bro, if I will never buy, if you want to give me Jordans, fine. And I got gifted Jordans last year, but I will never buy another pair of Jordans because I'm like, yo, this nigga is just literally a black Republican.
I mean, look, from what I hear, he was never a good guy.
Oh
right?
no.
He's not Magic. He's not Magic Johnson out there fucking building movie theaters and donating to charities and shit like that.
This nigga refused to take stances on shit. Republicans buy shoes too. White people buy shoes too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, they do. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, Michael Jordan, for that breakdown on racial economics.
I forget something. It was like a perceived slight that happened to him, and it became a meme. That one line became a meme because we're all watching it, and I was just like, "Damn, bro, seriously, that ain't shit." Or he just goes, "Yeah, I took that personally," and I was like, "What the fuck you mean you took that personally?" Now that's a meme. Now,
right. I know the meme. I don't know the context.
I can't remember what it was, but it was something that me or you would look at and just be like, "Yo, you know what? Fuck you," and then just leave it.
Right.
This nigga just sat there and like the look on his face, just I took that personally. I'm just like, damn, nigga, like it's been years later, bro, and you still feel that way.
Look, and I will stand by this. The greatest people in anything, 9 times out of 10, they're not really good people, right?
Oh, no.
You get exceptions.
Oh no,
but for the most part, to get to a certain level of success, you got to be a fucking monster.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna get into a monster where I'm just like, Jesus fuck, man, that shit made me like, I wanted to puke at points.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one.
But Jordan, bro, that I want to be like Mike. I'm just like, damn, bro, we had fucking little kids singing that shit. I want to be like Mike.
Look, never meet your heroes. For the most part, never meet your heroes because they're people just like anyone else, and people are assholes. American Crime Story, fucking fantastic. Sterling K. Brown is an American treasure. Moving on from that, on Amazon Prime, this is the Tom Green documentary. That's the name of the documentary. It's Tom Green did a documentary about himself, and it's absolutely fucking hilarious. I forgot how truly funny and innovative that dude was, right? And the only reason his show went off the air is because he got cancer. I forgot his last episode of his show was him going through cancer surgery.
You know what? Watch fucking Freddie Got Fingered and then come back and say that shit. Like, I don't want him to get cancer. Like, I'm glad he beat that shit. But, like, yeah, that show's funny. But then watch Freddie Got Fingered and you'll be like, oh, yeah, dude, you know what? I'm glad you're gone.
Well, maybe that's where he jumped the shark. But if you look at the shit he was doing during his show, if he came around now, he'd be a TikTok star, right? Like the same shit he was doing back 20 years ago is stuff that's becoming viral on the internet now. Like he was an innovator. I can't take that away from him. Like he was when it came to comedy and that whole entire you know, man on the street sort of interactive comedy. Like he was the king of it. So I can't take that away from him. And the show, like the documentary, is genuinely funny, and you forget how funny that fucking show was. Like Freddie Got Fingered. I've I've never seen it, so I can't judge that. I think I'm gonna watch it this weekend to be completist, so I can get uh so I can have an opinion on it. But everything else is pretty fucking hilarious. So if you want a good laugh, and you know, in your nostalgia feels and shit like that, check out This Is the Tom Green documentary on Amazon. Moving on from that, we're gonna. I mean, I started watching Paradise, but we can talk about that together. When it comes to movies, I only watched one movie this week, and it was the David Ayer film, The Tax Collector. Right? I rewatched
Why?
that
Because it's
shit
back on Hulu.
because it's back on Hulu. This is not a good movie at all, but I love watching it just to see fucking Shia LaBeouf's Cholo assassin, Creeper. Uh, that character, I wish was in the entire was the movie. Right? I didn't really care about anything else. I just wanted to see Creeper in his life and the shit he was doing because I, Shia never phones anything in. Right? Say what you will about him, he's never lazy with this shit, and he was 100% engaged, locked in, playing this dude. If I ever get a chance to talk to David Ayer, I want to know why he picked Shia LaBeouf for this character and what it was like working with him and making this. After Shia LaBeouf's out of the movie, it becomes your standard fucking direct to TV drug dealer revenge type thing. Um, it's fine. It's prepping me for Working Man, which is coming out this summer. I'm gonna go through all of David
It's not
Ayer's
coming out in the summer. It's coming out in the spring, nigga.
spring. All right, well, coming out even sooner, right? So I'm prepping myself. I'm gonna go through all of David Ayer's films. I enjoy David Ayers because he's so mean. Like, there's very rarely any redeemable characters in any of his movies, and I kind of enjoy that. So, The Tax Collector's on Hulu. Check it out just for Shia. Uh, you may enjoy it. I don't know. And I don't know if you want to talk about it together. Brandon talked about Paradise on the last episode, and I finally checked it out, and I'm fucking hooked. This show is goddamn amazing.
So episode 4 deals with I can't remember what the dude's name is, but he is basically Sterling K's Brown's partner named Billy.
Mhm.
And Billy's he was a psychopath, because when you see his background, it's just like, well, yeah, nigga, like I would do the same thing. But then, like, once he comes to juvie, like, they just turn. I was like, yo, this is why people hate the prison system, because it's never rehabilitation. You're just making somebody into a fucking either a worse criminal or a monster.
Right, 100%. There's especially now that all this shit is privatized. They're not
Yeah.
they're not in the business of rehabilitation, making you a citizen. They're in the business of having you come back.
Like, I guess that's why I love Sing Sing so much, because Sing Sing's based on a true story. And that's the only movie I've seen where the prisoners are actually trying to better themselves and become better people. And they realize what they did is fucking horrible. And they're just like, yo, this is an outlet for us to do better. So that way, when we get out, we may not be big actors, but then we could go and start making money doing community plays and shit like that.
Right. Or also just fucking having a purpose. I mean, that's honestly half the reason a lot of people end up in the penal system is because they just have no fucking purpose.
Yeah, well, Billy finds his while he's in prison. Like that nigga is straight up he becomes a great killer because like he gets uh kicked out of prison. They're like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. And as soon as he gets out, the military's like, yeah, you're joining us. We're off the books, and you got no other choice. He's like, I can't just go back into the world. They're like, nah. And then apparently this nigga was too hardcore for the hardcore crew because they're like, yeah, this is our toughest dude. One of you guys, this is the toughest of the tough. Whoever takes him on, you guys get to stay. Well, that wasn't much of a fight.
Billy showed
Basically
him
a murder.
Billy showed him who the fuck they were messing with.
Within 15 minutes, we had 2 no faces. Like both people's faces have just fucking obliterated. And I mean obliterated to the point where I'm like, either they're going to look like Mason Verger from Hannibal or they're going to need massive facial reconstruction.
100%. Yeah, it was both those beatings were brutal.
Yeah, and I was just like, I've never seen that level of violence on a Hulu show before. I was just like, fuck me, man. And this is a mainstream show. But we get to the full conspiracy finally. 4 episodes in, the conspiracy's finally revealed itself, and was not expecting. This is like Frank Herbert said, like, yo, don't trust leaders. People who seek power, they just want to fucking run shit. Power seeks out the corruptible.
Yeah. And like we can't really talk about any of these episodes without spoiling major plot points. But just know that episode 4 is absolutely heartbreaking. Like that line, I just want to be Uncle Billy for one more day. It stung, man. The show is, I was not ready for what this show is, and I cannot wait to see where it's going because I cannot guess, right? Because every time I try to guess something, they just go left.
Well, this is I thought it was going to be a mini series, and I just found out like, no, this is an ongoing series. So I'm wondering how this show is going to go season to season.
Yeah. I don't know how they can keep this up for more than 2 seasons.
Well, we'll see. They're saying they want 3 seasons, so that's all you get from Hulu anyway. Unless you're The Handmaid's Tale, you only get 3. They don't like shows. They're like, oh, look, you're old now. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh man, Hulu is like the Leonardo DiCaprio of streaming services.
Yeah. Handmaid's Tale only gets to keep going because it's too critically loved and it wins too many awards and too many people talk about it.
Right, 100%.
A show I've only seen half the first season. I was just like, you know what? I just can't do it no more.
I made it to the 3rd season, but by then it's just like it was too much, right? Like it never got bad. It was never a bad show. It's just it made me feel so bad about being a man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like I want to like after watching an episode of The Handmaid's Tale, I just kind of want to walk up to any woman on the street and say I'm sorry for the rest of my gender.
I mean, we right there.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I would not be surprised if they start doing this to men too, where men are now viewed at like women are just baby factories, and then men are just sperm donors. You know, they're gonna like start co-opting some dudes and being like, oh yeah, this powerful senator, here's your fucking sex slave. He's there to give you a baby, and that's it.
Get your passports, guys. Get your passports. All right. Anyway, so that's Paradise. What else have you been watching?
So segueing into this shit after talking about Paradise for so long, I'm gonna keep on TV. I've rewatched and started The White Lotus. Like I'm gonna do that this weekend is go back through The White Lotus, and I was like I could have swore one of these like it took place in Hawaii, And I was right. The first season is Hawaii, and then the second season is Italy. So this upcoming season is Thailand. And the only reason why I'm going back is because Natasha Rothwell, I can't remember what happened to her character. I know like nothing good happened to her in the first season. I remember that first season ending and she was in a bad spot. And then I want to go back because the link between seasons 1 and season 2 are Jennifer Coolidge. So like, especially now that Mike White has come out and said like, yo, the first 2 seasons are literally a tee up for this third season. This third season is what we've been building to. And I'm like, all right, well, let me go back and rewatch it, and I'll finish it because, again, this is a short show. I could probably get through this whole thing by fucking Monday.
Yeah, because it premieres next week, right? Next Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying on HBO Max, I watched the new season 3 of The Sex Lives of College Girls. And very good, very like I'm glad to see that this show's kind of growing up and the girls are also growing up. I was wondering how this show was going to continue without Renee Rapp. They write her off in a very and the most thoughtful, well-meaning way possible. Like she transfers to MIT because the math program at Essex sucks, even though Essex College is one of the most world-renowned schools in America. She's like, bro, the math here sucks, and they're just like, yeah, well, look, your grades are too good, you're too smart for this school, so like, we could get you into MIT, and she's like, MIT and my girlfriend's gonna live there too. They're like, yeah. So like, it makes sense. So like, I'm glad all these. It's not like Sex in the City where they make them to be fucking stupid. All these girls are smart, and I'm glad about that. Like, they're all fucking smart. It's like Sex in the City if it took place in college, and all of them weren't fucking self-absorbed. Well, I mean, they are, but in a different way. Or ditzy.
Well, they're young, self-absorbed, which is acceptable because they're still, becoming adults.
Yeah. And it, like, they took Sex in the City and Girls and mixed it into one, and it's just the characters are more well-rounded, which is wild because these are college, quote-unquote college girls, even though they're all 30. But yeah, the new girl they get to replace Renee Rapp, she's fucking wild. I was like, yo, this is a wild girl, fucking real catty over nothing.
All right, well, I mean, I still have to start the show, but everyone I know who's watched it says it's a must see.
Well, let me Google because I can't remember her name, but I remember her first coming on the show, and I was like, Jesus, this girl is tiny, but has the biggest boobs I've ever seen. I'm like, Jesus Christ, them shits could raise the Titanic for a girl who's clearly 5 foot.
So she was made in the lab. Okay.
Gracie Lawrence. And I Googled her, Gracie Lawrence. I was like, oh, so Renee Rapp was a musician, and they just replaced her with another musician. Even though it seems like the music Gracie Lawrence makes is stuff I'd probably like, because apparently she does R&B and soul music in the band called Lawrence. And it's called Lawrence because it's a band with her and her brother.
Oh shit! I took pictures of Lawrence once. They came to Trenton for an event, and oh shit! I had no idea. Yeah, no, she's short as shit in person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You could tell in the show. I'm like, yo, she is 5 foot. All right. Both HBO Max and Peacock have Diddy documentaries.
Oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to watch a Diddy documentary yet.
The HBO one is 5 parts. That last episode, though, y'all could have kept that shit. But Peacock gets more into why and gets more into his background. And the HBO one is basically the how. And the HBO one, like, yo, don't get me wrong. The Peacock one, I was sitting there like, oh, Jesus, fuck, man, this is terrible. And then you watch the HBO one, and you're just like, oh, no, this is, oh, Jesus Christ, God damn. Like, Homie's wives weren't off the table. Like Albie Shore was dating Kim Porter, and he pulled Kim Porter away from Albie Shore. They had a kid together. Like
Okay.
apparently the shit with him and Kim Porter, like he would go to the club and he'd be with all these other women while still married to Kim, and then Kim would go to the same club with her girlfriends, and in front of the whole club, he'd walk up to her and be like, "Why aren't you at home raising our kids? This is fucking disrespectful." And he would take her purse and dump it upside down and pour everything out of her purse and throw it right in her face in front of everybody. It was so bad the way he treated women that his bodyguards, and he always hired bodyguards who were fresh out of jail. I'm talking like big niggas who were in jail doing bids for like very violent crimes. And even they were just like, apparently they would tell them like, bro, why are you beating on women like this? Like, you don't have to treat women and people who work for you like this. And they were just, and he would turn to him and just be like, nigga, you should be grateful you here. I'm giving you everything.
Yeah, I mean,
yo, listen, it gets worse, baby. It gets worse. Making the Band. I watched every version when Diddy, from Making the Band 2 to Making the Band 3 to Making the Band 4. I watched every version. I was laughing. And now looking back at that, I'm like, oh no, this was terrible. Like him making them walk to Brooklyn for cheesecake, and then they come back and he's like, yeah, I don't want that shit no more. Or the fact that I remember Day 26, it was a boy band. It was a dude who was bigger, right? He would body shame him so much that on one episode, he would make him get on a treadmill, and he ran for the entire episode. And now looking back at it, you're like, Jesus Christ, that was just part of the shit he was doing. And so like they interview members of Danity Kane. They interview members of the band from Making the Band 2, where he was like, yeah, I'm shutting down the studio. Like the one girl from the band, she was just like, yeah, Diddy would send me, nudes. D Woods, she was like, yo, I was the only one pushing back on Diddy because shit he was doing is disgusting. He would send all of us in Danity Kane nudes. He would grope us. He was always trying. Apparently, Aubrey, Aubrey was doing her own thing and dressing how she wanted to dress. And it finally got to a point where she lost so much weight and she started dressing a certain way that he pulled her to the side and said to her, whispered to her ear, like, oh, now I can finally fuck you.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't even gotten to the rapes, bro.
Like, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And, he was telling everybody who he was from the beginning.
Yeah, apparently, like, the dude, his bodyguard from when he was with Biggie, apparently he told him, like, yo, listen, I don't think y'all should be rolling around like this. Like, Pac just got shot up, and he just turned to him, and he's like, yo, shut the fuck up, nigga. And what happened? 2 hours later, Biggie gets lit up. They go to the hospital, and he comes running up to him, and he's like, bro, we need to sit down and pray. We need to sit down and pray. And he's like, pray about what? He's like, pray about what? Biggie's gone, bro. There's nothing to pray about. And Biggie apparently wanted to leave Bad Boy because he's like, bro, I want my money and I want the rights to my music. Like, apparently Biggie, if he was alive, he would have left.
Yeah, I mean, was Bad Boy even a thing anymore? Like, when did that shit dissolve? Because everybody who was on that label,
oh yeah, he pumped them and dumped them. Like, yo, fucking Loon. They get into the whole thing with Loon when Diddy decided to start busting guns in the club, and a girl got shot, and Loon went down for it. It was either, I can't remember if it was Loon or Shine, but one of them two went down.
It was Shine.
Yeah, Shine went down for it, even though he never had the gun. Mm-hmm. He had to literally pay people and threaten them to say that Shine did it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that his record label is called Bad Boy, right? That should have been an indicator.
Like you think, you sit there, you're like, yo, and he goes, take that. I'm just like, bro, now it's just different connotation,
right?
Yo, because even people who were working in the industry, they were just like, we knew he was a fucking asshole because he's always in everybody's videos. He's always in everybody's songs. Like, we should not be listening to a song by Mace and he comes on with a whole ass verse. It doesn't make sense. I was like, okay, all right. And that's why everybody was like, yo, we'd rather work with Suge Knight than Puffy, because at least Suge's not going to be in the video. At least Suge's not going to be all over our fucking song. And apparently Death Row was trying to do Death Row East. Tupac showed up to a New York club and started handing out shirts. And the dude who owned the club was like, yo, that shirt's hot. Could I have one? He's like, yeah. He puts it on, and Diddy finds out. Diddy waits outside the club. Homie gets in his car. It's Diddy in the other car with 3 people working for him, gets into a high-speed chase at like 3 a.m. in Manhattan, chasing this dude, running him off the road, shooting at him, all because of a fucking shirt.
Damn.
And because of the East Coast, West Coast beef.
Does Farnsworth Bentley show up in any of these?
Nah, man. That's another nigga where I'm like, oh, yeah.
So like,
I remember one episode he turned to him. He's like, yeah, you too, nigga. You could go home too, nigga. And he started crying.
Yeah, like Farnsworth Bentley knows where the bodies are buried, right? Like, he knows. I bet he's being called as a witness at some point of time.
Well, one dude would bring his girl around. He was working for Bad Boy. And apparently Diddy would keep saying, oh, somebody better watch her. You can't leave a girl like that alone. And she kept thinking that was weird. So one day, she lives in Queens, Hispanic chick. So this is the most graphic account in both of these docs. A black SUV picks her up because, she's like, oh, we're going to meet your man at the studio. She gets in. Apparently Diddy's there. And Diddy hands her a drink, and she drinks it. It was like a glass of white wine.
Mm.
As soon as they hit the Brooklyn Bridge to go into Manhattan, she starts feeling a little woozy and sick. They get out the car. His bodyguards carry her to this back room and apparently push her face down on the fucking table, the pool table. Diddy comes in, loops himself up, and anally rapes her.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And then ties her down, and then just rapes her again. Not anally, but just rapes her again. And apparently she said she came to. She was like semi-lucid for the rape, and she came to, and she saw his back was turned, and everybody else was doing other shit. She slowly, because they weren't paying attention, she slowly put on her clothes and then ran out of the building, out of the studio, hopped in a cab, and she said she looked behind and she saw Diddy chasing after her. And the taxi driver's like, ma'am, are you okay? I'm going to drive you to a hospital. And she's like, no, I just want to go home. He's like, yo, I got to take you to a hospital because you look fucking destroyed. And she never went to the hospital. She got out, but she didn't get to go to the hospital. 2 months later, her man comes up and is just like, why didn't you tell me what happened? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, yo, Diddy filmed your assault and is now showing everybody.
I'm sorry, I was in the middle of mid-swallow. I didn't want to spit the shit out. So this, like
they get into details about the freak-offs or King Time. Like, King Time and freak-offs are 2 different things.
I've never even heard of King Time. Like, I've tried to stay away from this just because it like, I'm a certified pervert. But this is like that. All the Diddy shit is just like that's.
Well, it's not
villainous.
Just
it's monstrous.
It is not just women who got it. It was also men. Like, some white guy was like, I was an engineer, and Diddy wanted me to come record at his house. We all show up. It was me and my team. He comes in a bathrobe, and the bathrobe's open, and he's naked with his dick out. And I'm just standing there, and he's just like, all right, y'all better be ready to get to work. And we're just like, I think we're going to leave. A dude who produced the Love album, the entire thing, didn't get paid for it.
Yeah.
So they're in the middle of recording the Love album because he's a producer on it. And Diddy leaves for a good 15 minutes. And then his assistant comes in and is like, yo, Diddy wants to record in his bathroom. And they all look at each other like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
They start setting up in the bathroom. Diddy walks in again with his robe open, naked, throws the robe down, hops in the shower, and then starts staring at the producer. And he's like, yo, I started getting wild uncomfortable. I'm like, why is this dude naked, showering, and staring at me when we're supposed to be recording an album? Apparently, he gets out the shower, starts grabbing homie's ass and dick.
Yeah, because when it comes to rape, it's not about the sexual gratification, or not always about the sexual gratification. More, it's about the power.
Oh yeah, because he would have other people fuck, and he would sit there, watch, masturbate it, and film it. And I'm like, bro, porn is free. Like, porn is free, bro.
Right.
Like this is why I don't understand this shit. I'm like, if you're gonna do some devious shit like that, like, porn is free by that point.
And like, here's the thing: at a certain amount of wealth, you can find people who will do the things that you want to do willingly, right? If you have a certain level of fame, it wasn't about that. It was the manipulation, and it was the power, and it was about forcing people to do this shit, right? It's like,
dog, the personal chef, like, even the personal chef was just like, I got tired of cooking these meals and getting yelled at it. Like, I'm trying to do the best I can, and he's forcing me to hurry up. And it got to a point where I said, he was literally in her face, like, spitting on her. And the bodyguard came over, just like, bro, nah. And then he hooked off on his bodyguard, and the bodyguard walked away saying, fuck this shit. And then he turned back to her, and he just goes, he screamed. Apparently she screamed at him, I fucking quit. And he's like, you can't quit on me. Who the fuck you think you are? You can't quit on me. And the door was open as she was getting ready to leave. He literally grabs her by the shoulders and just shoves her out the door. And she landed on her hands and arms and has permanent damage from that shit.
And this is the stuff that we are hearing about. I can only imagine the shit that they can't talk about because of the upcoming trial. I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah, because then they even interview his assistant, and his assistant would be like, yeah, there's faces. Like, like, I've seen over 1,000 faces, and sometimes you see the face enter a house and never see that face again. And he said, like, the one thing I'll never forget is some woman, she spent the night, and then Diddy just said, take her back to the airport. And he threw her bag at him, and he put her bag in the car. She got in the car, and he was driving, and apparently she had tears in her eyes. He just turned around and said, are you okay? And she's like, I've never done anything like that before in my life, and I never want to again.
Yeah, these documentaries sound real rough, man. Like,
bro, the assistant gets into it. Apparently, his last night he was at the club. This is what made him quit. He was at the club with Diddy, and apparently they're in a VIP section, and everybody's standing around like, woo woo, because there's like some naked girl, and Diddy motions him to come over. He's like, yo, listen, tonight you one of us. And he's like, have a shot. And he's like, I'm working though. He's like, don't, fuck it, have a shot. He takes a shot, and he's like, all right, I thought after a shot or two I'd be done. Nope. Apparently they made the assistant, he's like, yo, I want you to take off your pants right now. You see this naked girl? I want you to fuck her in front of all of us. And he looked at the girl like, is this okay? And he like made this motion to be like, yo, and she's like, yeah, it's okay. And he had to fuck her in front of everybody. And Diddy watched for about a few minutes and then turned around, and then he stopped because that just went against everything about him. He stopped and he ran and he left, and he emailed his letter of resignation the next day and never came back.
This dude's a fucking monster.
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, the fact that his career didn't die right after the City College incident, like, there's a whole incident where he was working at another record label ran by like Heavy D and the more notable rappers at the time, and that record label dissolved because of the City College incident, where homie decided what?
I heard about the City College, the riot. Well, not the riot, but you know. Yeah. Apparently, in the aftermath, 9 people died.
he paid each family only $5,000. And one dude was like, I don't want money. I just want you to do something and for my sister.
Right.
Like, my sister was your friend and she's dead. And you're just trying to give me $5,000. I don't want the fucking money. Like, do something in her memory, bro. And apparently, like, one of Heavy D turned to one of his people and was like, yo, what the fuck is this? Because apparently Diddy was walking around in the aftermath of the riot with his shirt off, going around giving people CPR who were passed out and injured.
Why was his shirt off?
That's why Heavy D was like, yo, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Yo, I mean, they get into his background too. Like, his dad was working for
Frank
not
Lucas?
Frank Lucas. Who's the other dude?
Bumpy Johnson?
The dude who Cuba played in American Gangster.
Oh, Nicky Barnes.
Yeah, he was working for Nicky Barnes. And his dad died at an early age because he was one of the top earners. And when you were a top earner, people try to get you, and he got. And his mom, he said, like, they interviewed childhood friends. He's like, yo, his mom was a terrible woman. Even the bodyguards would be like, yo, she's a terrible woman. Like, apparently his mom was so bad that even Diddy had to come in and be like, yo, stop messing with Jerome. He's here doing his fucking job, protecting me, not waiting on you hand and fist. Apparently Diddy would get beat up because, his dad was rich. He was living in a rich neighborhood because they could afford it. And he would get beat up and have his shit stolen. And when he come back home, his mom would be like, in front of all of his friends, you better go get that shit back, little nigga. Don't come back home until you get that shit back.
I mean, that just sounds like some black dad shit from the 70s. So
he said, like, his friends would say, like, they would go over his house and, like, his mom would be real nice, but then she would also turn on a dime real quickly.
So what's the better documentary? Which one should someone start with?
I would watch the HBO one.
Was that the 5-part?
Yeah. But then if you really want to get into why he is the way he is, watch the Peacock one.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to watch them, but all the stories you're telling me is like, I kind of got to watch them.
Yeah, man. Apparently I did not notice, every member of Danity Kane has a whole folder and file of just nudes. And they said, they're like, yeah, we've been sitting on these nudes because we knew that eventually we'd have to present these because it was only a matter of time. Like, everybody who's worked with him was like, yeah, this was only a matter of time. We're surprised it took 30 years for this to happen. And it only happened because of Cassie. And you know why Cassie did it?
Why?
2 years after she left him, he went on stage at some award show and was like, yeah, I was in a real dark place. And at a dark time, there was a person close to me who helped me. And I want to say, thank you, Cassie. I miss you, Cassie. And so Cassie saw that and she's like, oh, all right, fuck this. Because she knew. She's like, oh, that's a predator trying to get back at me. And
gaslighting her.
Yeah. And that's why she put that shit out. And then CNN leaked the video. And that was that.
So does 50 Cent show up in any of these documentaries?
No.
Because he was like he was the biggest motherfucker, just calling. Honestly, he's him and Cat Williams.
Yep, Cat Williams.
We're calling him out for years.
Yeah. So now that Diddy's out, it's only a matter of time for Kanye. Because Kanye went on a rant last night on Twitter, and I was just like, oh, this nigga's caping for Diddy in one of these tweets. He's saying I'm a Nazi, all types of shit.
I mean, so regular Kanye shit that he's been doing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look what he's doing to his wife. I'm like, bro, if you're doing to your wife in public, imagine what happens behind closed doors.
Yeah, I mean, that's why fucking good for Kim for leaving, right? But I think she was the only stabilizing force in his life.
No, because he was on some bullshit by that time too, man.
Right, but like, imagine how bad he would have been if she was never in his life. Because like after his mom died, I went to his Robot concert after his mom died. You could tell, oh, there's something not right with this motherfucker. He's about to
I
go
think
off
his
into
mom
space.
dying pretty much fucked him up.
Yeah.
Would also like to say, This shit is disgusting. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, a lot of that shit made my skin crawl. Like, I almost puked when that girl was telling the rape story because I gave an abridged version. It gets more and more graphic. Like, even the assistants, all the assistants, giving their stories about cleaning up after freak offs and Diddy King night, and that his white female manager also was complicit in this shit.
Yeah,
And she didn't care because she was getting money.
Right. Like, any of these high-powered people who, finally come down, who finally get arrested, there were people who helped cover the shit up. Right? Like, there are people who can't stop the money fucking train. Can't stop the money train. And, like, you want to be rich, but then you don't want to be rich.
All right, so let's get into Law and Order. This week's episode, which is the final episode for a minute, deals with hospice. So that type of shit. So, rich dude dies, and you come to find out his orders were he wanted his daughter to shoot him to make it look like a murder because he didn't want to die like a vegetable. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't want to lose his cognitive functions. Meanwhile, Nolan is dealing with that with his dad, where his dad's a vegetable, and his brother shows up like, bro, like, he doesn't even want to live like this. Like, why are we doing this? And he's just like, and he's literally trying to be a brother to Nolan and be like, yo, let's get lunch. And Nolan's like, no. And so, like, this nigga's really trying to push, like, send her to jail for life for murder. And even the DA, played by Tony Goldwyn, turns and looks at him like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, if you want to do it, fine. But, like, yo, he's like, give her 5 years. Like, they offer a plea deal. We'll give her 5 years. That's justice to me. Honestly, she should only be doing 2 years. And he's like, he even says, Tony Goldwyn's like, yo, if we really do push this case, there's like a 90% chance we're going to lose it because the jury's just going to sympathize with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so once it got real bad with his dad, and his brother's like, bro, I want to euthanize him. We can't fucking do this to him anymore. He euthanizes her and then makes a plea deal. Yeah, and she gets 5 years.
Yeah. This episode sounds mad triggering because I've had to deal with that shit. Those. If someone has an advance directive, fucking follow the advance directive.
Oh yeah. Like, I already wrote my will, and I said in my will, like, if I become a vegetable, like, yo, y'all gotta let me die, because I don't want to be hooked up to ventilators on the off chance that maybe 10, 20 years later, I might come back and then have to learn how to talk, walk, move.
Yeah, give me 4 months. Give me a good 4 to 6 months. If there's no improvement, then fucking Viking funeral.
So that's Law and Order. Let's get in the movies, because I haven't really watched too many movies. I'm gonna get into Final Destination 2. I won't, because of one of the trailers we're gonna talk about. And this is not the worst one, but it's my second least favorite. And yeah, like, rewatching, I was like, oh yeah, I will say this. The opening on the highway, I don't give that shit enough credit, because that shit is hard as fuck. But the rest of the movie's some goddamn bullshit. Like, only person to come back from the first one, Ali Lauder. Like, y'all kill off Devin in between movies. Ali Lauder comes back, and y'all just unceremoniously just blow her the fuck up. Like, this, it's terrible. Like, the best Final Destinations are 1, 3, and then I would say 5 is decent, but even 5 is fucking stupid. But 5 is not as bad as 2 or 4. 4 is dog shit. Only good thing about 4 is the 3D.
I haven't seen 4 or 5.
Yeah, 5's worth it, but I tell people, I'm like, honestly, just skip 4. Like, if you want to watch them, like, do 1. I tell people, watch 1 and 3. If you really like them, then you do 5. And then if you want to keep going, then you watch 2.
Right.
And then if you absolutely need to be, 100% this shit, then you watch 4.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to do a whole entire rewatch before for the shit where you're about to talk about.
Because it's all up on HBO Max. I don't know for how long because this shit come and goes. So,
Right.
But all 5 movies are on HBO Max right now.
That's good to know.
So, and I rewatched Dogman. I rewatched Companion. I still fucking love it. And then I rewatched Dogman once with my brother. We went to a 6:00 show on a Sunday, right? Because, you know, you'd think families, they got to get ready for school. And plus 6:00 on a Sunday night. A little late for kids.
Right.
Boy, were we wrong.
Packed.
Like, everybody's looking at us crazy walking in. I'm like, nigga, it's 6:00 on a Sunday. Like, by the time we got out, it was like 7:45. And I'm like, yo, these kids should be in fucking bed. Like, the screening was sold out. We were the first people to buy tickets. You know what I'm saying? Because 6:00 on a Sunday.
But you know what? I love that for this movie. I really do. Because that means it's going to keep on going. It's going to continue.
Bro, we walked out and there's still kids walking in. I'm like, bro, it is almost 8:00 on a fucking Sunday. Why aren't these kids in bed?
Yes, I love that for this series.
So, like, yo, y'all could look at us weird, but like, we're just here watching a movie. And then I saw it again in 40X. I was the only person in the theater, which was nice, and that 40X was wild.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, 40X was wild. So, with that, let's get into trailer talk.
We're the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the Film Blurs podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.